Hello, my name is Pastor Kevin Robertson, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Grace Track. And today I have the privilege, and I really mean privilege, of introducing to you Gayle. Now, Gayle, welcome to the podcast. We appreciate you joining us. And
Thank you, Pastor Kevin.
she is such a sweetheart. Now, first of all, Gayle, tell me about your background. When do you remember when you first received Jesus in your life, or when you were first decided, this Christian thing might work for me?
About 10 years ago, I was dating a person who was very involved in this church.
Okay.
The church was an AME, called
Okay.
AME, somewhere in downtown, and uh, it was a big part of his life. Although he never invited me to church, he talked a lot about being part of the choir, volunteering on the weekends, helping out with scripture reading and just being really involved. And I know that was a big part of his life. But however, I was never really involved. He never invited me to church. But we talked about it a little bit.
That's fascinating to me because did you begin to wonder? Okay, look, we're together, and this was a long relationship. This wasn't
Yeah.
even 3 months. How long were you together?
It was off and on for maybe over 20 years.
Okay,
I met him
okay,
when I was
that's a
18.
long time.
Yeah.
So did you get to the point within that off and on 20 years to say, is there a reason that you're not inviting me to church?
Yeah, I mean, he would spend New Year's Eve at church.
Okay.
They have New Year's Eve service. A lot of events happened on a Sunday and we couldn't meet
Right.
or get together because he was at church, or
Right.
Saturday he would be doing a feeding. But I understood it was really important for him, and so I didn't really push it. I think maybe looking back now, I think maybe he didn't really want me to be pushed in something
Okay.
really maybe didn't know much about, because
Okay.
I did tell him I never been to church.
Right.
So but
So you never started going to church with him. So in this off and on 20-year relationship you had, then it became off permanently. It just there had to get to a point where you're going, this is not working anymore. We
yeah.
got to move on.
Well, he died, so
Oh,
that's
did
how it
he? Oh,
ended.
good
Yeah,
night.
he
Okay.
died.
Oh, I had no
So
idea.
he
I'm
died.
sorry.
He died. Like it was pancreatic cancer,
Oh,
and that was when I started reading the Bible. I was listening music in the evening, and there was a radio station that read scriptures in the evening, and some of them was very comforting.
hmm,
And I said, you know what, I need to buy a Bible so I can read more about where the scripture is coming from.
right.
And then I really, when he passed away, that whole year, just reading the Bible felt like he was, God was with me, comforting
Uh,
me through the readings. I can feel he was talking to me, and I felt like um, my former boyfriend was also talking to
really,
me through reading the Bible.
through the
So
Word of
I would
God.
just pick passages that they would talk about in the radio station, and
Hmm.
it's just a regular radio station. I think it was KJLH.
Okay.
Um, and in the evening they talk about hope and grief and overcoming loss, and I just, that was how it started, and ever since then I think I found God transferring me transforming me spiritually. That's how I think it got planted.
Right. And you never thought, okay, you were with this guy for 20 years. He was a strong Christian, and then he died of cancer. You never thought, okay, he served God and now he's dead. So, because most people like yourself would say, forget it. I'm done with God. I'm done with this Bible. It's not real.
Yeah.
But it had the reverse with you. You kind of drew closer to it.
Right. I thought by me reading the Bible would help him come back. Or somehow I didn't read the Bible soon enough, but I said to myself, and I was talking to God at the same time, or my thoughts were saying, okay, if I read the Bible and start being what he is, will you slow down the disease? Will
Okay.
you have him not die?
Right.
I thought those thoughts, but I never bought the Bible or read the Bible till after he passed away. And I
Okay.
think that's when I realized, helped me to see
Right.
why he was taken away. I was angry because I said he did everything. He was a professor. He was a community leader. He was a philanthropist. He was everything. Why did you take him away? And
Right.
he was my love, my life too. Um, so I think, like you said, it those tragedy, at least for me, and in Grace Track, if I can just reflect, Jonah had was in a storm,
Mhm.
and he was facing all these bad things to him, and then he's just like, why is this all happening? But sometimes things you grow from things that loss or loss that changes you somehow, transforms you inside. Um, and that's what I think it did. I think Leon's loss, that's my boyfriend, and I think he really transformed me to start becoming more Christ-like, or at least walk the way toward God.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
deep. Because Gail, I've known you for 4 or 5 years now, I think.
Yeah, about 7. We've been going to church 7,
7 years,
but
okay.
yeah.
7 years just feels like 4. But I never knew that he passed away. I remember you telling me that you used to be in a long-term relationship,
Yeah.
and I just assumed you guys broke up. Because to
Um,
me, that goes deep. That it's so funny. It's interesting when I do these interviews, people just share stuff that I had no idea what they're going through. And Gail, it's almost for me, a respect level that I just went out with you going, my goodness, she's speaking from experience. And
yeah.
because this type of loss, let's say, in a sense, he was a husband of you. You've been together for 20 years. I mean, that's not like a boyfriend. And
Yeah.
but that's deep stuff. That's heavy stuff. Does that still affect you right now? Sometimes when your outlook on life, especially when you hear the pandemic, and stuff, and all the people that are passing, does that mess with your head because of
Yeah.
your experiences?
Why people are taken away, why they
Yeah,
have to die, why they have to suffer.
right,
But I think, like, if you read, if you just I just reflect back, and I still think about that too, why somebody was taken away, or why people get sick. Why is this all happening?
yeah,
Why are people dying to get a point or something across? So many people have to suffer, and
right.
yeah, I think of, and I think about my love Leon, and I think about that too, about how everyone else is losing their loved ones too, and
Yeah.
something they don't even know what's going to happen.
Well, in a sense, when you watch somebody sharing that they lost someone at a
Yeah,
hospital, you have I would assume that there's such a compassion that you have that you know exactly what they're going through and what they're
yeah,
for, and how many, in a sense, how many unanswered prayers. Because
right.
even if you're not religious, you're praying. You're praying to anyone out there that would just heal this person completely.
Mhm. Right.
Whether it's a mother, a husband, or a father, whatever.
Yeah,
And so, but how do you balance it out, knowing, the Lord does allow this? I mean,
yeah.
how do you have a peace, or where did you have to go to get this peace that you have, this joy? Because you are a joyful person.
Oh.
You are a person that's very upbeat. You are a strong person. You have strong opinions. Obviously, we know that, but you have a good heart. And
Mhm.
so, is there something you've done, or just to keep that purity of you, where you're not this bitter, I hate everything, I hate the world, I hate God?
Well, I think it's when I started going to church with Rod. When we
Uh,
got married, we decided that Rod wanted to be involved in a church in our, when we moved to the Marina Del Rey area, he
right,
wanted to find a church. And so I was happy about that because, like I said, I never went to church as an adult, or at least
right,
with my other relationship. And I think what I found out was I wasn't bitter. I was actually trying to feel okay. So let me going back. Do you remember when we talked about, or how I would be really judgmental to people about being late? about people who are not volunteering. That feeling started coming about because, I said, okay, I'm not gonna, after his loss, I realized that is something, reading the Bible, that's something that is meant to happen. It was supposed to
Right.
change me. So in the beginning, when I started going to church, I was late to church.
Mhm.
I really wasn't involved. And I think for me, uh, it changed me when I started learning to volunteer. I don't know, somehow this whole thing about understanding, about not being bitter, about helping other people that are struggling, like with losses
Mhm.
that I did, it made me want to help them
Right.
and not. And I think that's through Grace Track because when I think it was when the story about how God loved the
Uh-huh.
Mennonites,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Jonah was really mad that why would you want to love somebody that is trying to hurt me? It's
Right.
the same feeling because I can't be mad for people who have their boyfriend still. I can't be mad that this happened, this loss was taken out of me. I felt like all I can do is maybe help people who maybe be going through some kind of loss like that.
Right.
Instead of being bitter, what good is that? It just drains you. So I think my turnaround when I went to Grace Check made me realize like I need to really use the strength that I have to help other people.
Mhm.
And that was starting to by volunteering at the church. First we started to volunteer with the Veterans Ministry when we
Right.
went to Westwood.
Yeah.
We did that ministry. We did the Christmas Angel Tree. So
Mhm.
I felt transformed when I started volunteering and helping somebody else who is maybe going through a loss or whose life might not be going the way they want.
Right.
Um, Maybe that was how I was coping with my loss, is just to help people who are dealing with their loss that maybe they couldn't have anybody else to help them. Because, when I was going through this loss, I really couldn't talk to my parents about my relationship. They really didn't know very much about him.
Right.
Um, and uh, so it shows that, when you opened up the way of us volunteering to help with the service. I was helping out with making maybe baked goods for the hospitality table once a month,
Right.
or being a greeter. I think those things help me to give grace to other people. So when I'm helping others, um, grace comes into me, and then I'm helping myself to give grace to others.
Right.
You know
It
what I mean?
makes
And not,
complete sense. And then to the point is, in a sense, because I noticed that all of us are judgmental.
yeah,
We just get judgmental. And one of my pet peeves was, good night, church is 10 o'clock. It just, how hard is it to get there at 10? But we got people that dragging their rear ends in at 10:20, 10:30, 10:40, 10:45. I'm thinking, why are you coming to church? you
right,
know,
yeah,
but you don't know their story. You don't
right,
know what's going
exactly,
on in that
yeah,
day. Like, who knows what happened? A phone call that
right,
could have changed their
yeah,
lives. They could have discovered. And I've noticed you're right. Once I get out of myself
yeah,
and start helping and focusing other people, the joy comes.
right.
The joy
And
comes.
it transforms you. You don't know it's really happening, and now, but you do because going through Grace Check, I saw myself as Jonah. I saw myself as the older brother, where I was like, Jonah, why is God loving the people who are going to hurt me? And I say to myself, why do I want to love people who come to Pastor Kevin's church 15 minutes late, or who are not really listening to a service, or who don't want to volunteer to sign up? But
Right.
then I have to realize, I have to give them grace. I really do. And it was hard for me because, I was always telling you, griping about, all these people, they come late. Why don't they want to volunteer? It's their church. But I realize now with Grace Check, oh my God, I'm Jonah.
Uh-huh.
I'm living, my pattern is like Jonah's story.
Right.
And when I started volunteering to the church, I started becoming more understanding, not being, being judgmental is always going to be part of me, but it's with an open mind. Saying, I catch myself saying, don't be like that. There is a reason. You don't know.
Yeah.
Try to understand as opposed to just judge.
Yeah. And it's hard because I know we've kind of embraced the no judgment, only love.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I didn't realize, when we heard the no judgment, just love, that mantra and our t-shirts and all that stuff,
Mhm.
we go, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. No judgment, only
Yeah.
love. But I'm realizing that's a hard one to live.
Yeah.
It's really hard because I'm the pastor. And I'm looking back and I go, oh my goodness, it's 6 people in the church, and it's 10 minutes after, and then when I get up and preach, okay, now the people are there, and the part of me wants to go, seriously, how hard is this? If you did this at work, you would have just lost your job. But no,
Yeah.
but what I like is when the new people come to church, or when they did come to church, because we have a bad church at the building, that when you're volunteering and you're doing things and you're greeting people and stuff like that, and you're being nice to someone, you could be the only nice person they dealt with that week, and the only smile that they had that week. And life's hard. It's not fair sometimes, and it's difficult. And you're right. We have no idea what people are going through,
Right.
and how to deal with it.
And volunteering and being part of the church is so rewarding because it makes you a better person. It really makes you part of the church. I always believe that when you go to church, and this is what things I changed, because remember I told you I used to come to church late, my husband and I, and now we deliberately sit in front.
Right.
So we can get the full and the whole experience. We volunteer. We really want to try to be a church in part of the church and really be involved. And when you're like that, and when you do that, it really changes you. You really become so much grateful for other people,
Right.
and you feel great, and you feel so part of the church.
Right. So going back on this, how did you meet Rod?
Uh, so he was a former professor.
Okay. You're a former professor of yours?
Yeah,
Okay.
Rod was, yeah, so I was an economics major, and so
Okay.
he was one of my professors, and I was coming back
Oh, that's interesting. What did you
to
try to
get a
do when
letter
you first, when you looked at him teaching, you go, oh, that guy's cute? Or did you?
Well, when I was a student of his,
Okay.
he was married, and I was already dating the
Yeah.
person I was with.
Right.
And it was after I graduated from my undergrad that I had to get a letter of recommendation because I was applying for grad school.
Right.
So I had to go back, and that's when we started talking. He didn't remember me. And we worked on a project together because this
Okay.
was, again, for missions for a graduate program that I was
Uh-huh.
applying for. And so we worked together on projects, and that's how it started kind of the relationship started.
Right.
So he was already divorced at that time. I was not with that person because he passed away.
Right.
So I think that was when we started kind of coming together. And
Okay. Well, that's cool. And so the thing is, if you know Rod, he does some of the scripture reading. He does look like a professor, but the thing is, and I've noticed something that's interesting. Rod wears and these Daisy Dukes. I call them Daisy Dukes. These short shorts, right?
yeah, yeah.
And when you met him, and did he wear these shorts, and you go, okay, that's fine, or did you go, oh, Rod, you gotta get longer shorts?
Um, he, yeah, I did kind of mention to him that, I kind of made fun of the shorts. I was like, wow, are they running shorts? You wear them all the time. And he goes, I roll them up. So they are a little bit longer than what you see. He rolls them up.
Oh,
And
really?
he says, I don't like the material, the long bagginess, it gets caught,
Okay.
and so, I just thought, oh, okay. And then, he wears them often,
Right.
everywhere. Church,
Yeah.
I suggested, oh, you don't wear those to church. He goes, yeah, it's hot, it's casual. And I just said, well, there's walking shorts, oh no, they're too long. They're too long.
Oh,
So,
okay. Because the
you
thing is,
gotta,
during this pandemic, Jennifer and I got addicted to binge watching Magnum PI. It's on the Hallmark
okay.
Channel. It's 3 episodes a day. And I'm sitting there watching and I go, I know where Rod's got those shorts from. Magnum. He wears these Daisy Dukes too.
Yeah.
But that was in 1980.
I know. And it's hard to find Daisy Duke shorts now when they have holes in them. We have to really go find stores that have those still short
All
shorts
right.
for men because now they're really long. And then he's
Yeah.
like, I can roll these up. So he rolls them up like 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
and draws the drawstring so they cut, so yeah, what
You just
can you
gotta
do?
love them. I mean,
Yeah.
all of us have our weirdness. I
Yeah.
have my craziness. I don't wear the Daisy Dukes, but
Yeah.
something people can criticize me and all
Yeah.
that. Okay, I want to wrap this up, and I want to ask another question that that I want to go there during this pandemic. What's the low light of this pandemic for you? What's the hardest part of this pandemic that you just go, this is just getting old? I don't like this part.
Yeah.
What is it for you?
For me, I believe that phone calls, using the phone, using email,
Mm,
using Zoom
mm,
is great, but it does not replace the physical contact of another human being,
right,
the hugs, the kisses,
right,
seeing that person, laughing at them, doing a high five, just elbowing them, just
right,
touching them.
right,
I'm a touchy-feely person. I like to give hugs,
right.
and I miss that. I miss my seniors. I miss our congregation.
Yeah,
I miss my mom not being able to give her a kiss, even though I do see her.
right.
And I just miss the laughter. You could see it on the on the screen when we do
Mm,
Zoom, but nothing is takes the place of the physicalness of being
right.
in one room with other people and just looking and smiling or just winking or somebody.
No, definitely. And you miss the energy because you don't get the
Yeah.
energy from a Zoom meeting. You don't get the
Yeah.
energy. But when people get together, and I think it's a body of Christ within the church or within your work, there's an energy level that is so, for me as a people person,
Yeah.
that I just feed off, that
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
go, man, this is like an adrenaline for me.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the hardest things for me is because I know you are a touchy-feely person. Every time you talk to me, you have to touch me. That's you're touching arms and stuff like that, or your hand
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah.
And so that's why I asked you the question, because I know if it's hard on me, it's got to be hard on you.
Yeah.
On
It
stuff
really
like that.
is.
And
Yeah.
hopefully in the next couple months we can get back together. Who knows how long this will last and
I know.
what
Yeah.
we're going to. But you are missed and tremendously loved, and even I love your husband despite the Daisy Dukes. He's a good guy, and it's a good heart. I'll be interviewing him the following week,
Yeah.
so
I
I'll
heard
get on him. I'll directly and I'll say, Gayle wants you to stop wearing those shorts.
that.
We'll do a Zoom intervention. So anyway, so thank you so much, Gail. We
Oh,
really appreciate it. And thank
thank
you for your insight because I had no idea that I knew about the long-term relationship. But I had no idea that he passed away with cancer. And
you.
so the wisdom that you have, the credibility that you have, and the wisdom and discernment that came out of that is just incredible. And not being angry and not being bitter. Obviously, you still miss your loved ones. You still
Yeah.
miss and wonder what it could have been, or wonder
Yeah.
if he was still around. But what year did he pass?
Oh, so maybe about over it. maybe about over at least 11 years ago.
Did it seem
So
like 10 years ago, or does it seem?
no, no, I feel his presence with
Okay.
me, and it's just it's good. It's just there, just in a different way.
And so it's not true when people say time heals all wounds.
It does, but in a different way.
Okay.
You still feel the loss. You feel that you miss that person, but at the same time, you're stronger,
Yeah.
and you can help others.
Yeah.
And you help yourself too at the same time. And that's what Grace Track is. It's To me, it felt like it was a framework
Mhm.
of a journey, of a hero's journey, but it's also looking at your own journey
Oh yeah.
in that. So, if this is an endorsement for Grace Track, for those who are thinking about taking it, or, just it really kind of makes you figure out your life, your journey, and also your purpose.
Yeah.
Because I know all of us are here um, for a reason,
Mm,
and I find that I think I found my purpose,
mm.
is to serve and for nonprofit organizations.
Right.
And
Right.
I think Grace Track will open your mind to find out what your purpose is. And at the same time, it's a fantastic journey. It opens your heart, and great leaders to help support you,
Right.
especially with Pastor Kevin and Brooke and Ruben and Rebecca.
Yeah.
So I really encourage all of you to do it, and it's just going to open your mind and your heart. So,
Good. Well, thank you so much. Yeah,
okay.
we love you, and thank you for listening to our podcast or watching our podcast. And join us next week. God bless you. Have a great week.
Bye.